Hey guys, this is Lesley-Ann Brandt and you're watching my episode of LipRoll with Valerie Morehouse.
Welcome to LipRoll. My name is Valerie Morehouse. I have a unique privilege to work with some of today's most influential and iconic voices as a celebrity vocal coach. This is a show where my guests and I are able to peel back the curtain and kind of bring you backstage and paint a picture of what it's like to be an artist, an actor, a broadcaster, and beyond, while still confronting all the challenges of mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. Welcome to LipRoll. Well, listen, guys, Lesley-Ann Brandt, thank you so much for joining us today on LipRoll. I'm so excited to have you.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I didn't know if we would get you on the show, and my producers, like, we have to get Lesley. We've had Tom, so we've got to bookend this thing.
Yeah.
So we were just talking before the show about all your travel.
Yes.
Didn't you just get back? Somebody had mentioned you'd done a GQ cover.
I did a women's health cover.
Oh, women's health.
I did a women's health cover for South Africa that we shot here.
Yeah.
It's my second one in 2 years. My first one I did 6 months postpartum.
Oh my gosh.
Great motivation though.
No, really, right? Yeah.
But I've been traveling. I went to Germany and Paris with Tom and some of our cast actually, and then we did a little family vacation in Paris. I just got back from New Orleans where I gave a speech at the Human Rights Campaign Gala there during Pride Week. So it's been busy and now preparing for season 5.
I know, but that's so exciting.
Yeah.
You guys have had all of these seasons to deal with Lucifer.
Yeah.
I love I'm watching you, obviously following you on Instagram, and I love all of the workouts that I've seen.
Yes.
Those are intense. I didn't know if you were doing those just for yourself, but now I know that they were for something.
It's
because you look fabulous. You're in amazing shape.
You're sweet, but it's a big part of my life. It kind of was there before I got this job, but definitely considering what I wear on the show, lots of leather, lots of tight fitting clothes, and also the physical aspects of just being able to stunt fight and be safe. It's important. And if you guys follow us on social, you'll know that Kevin works out with Paolo, Tom works out with Paolo, Rachel just joined Paolo and me. So he's basically training the entire cast.
That's the way it works, right?
Know.
Yeah, because Tom was here when he was right in the middle of that whole men's health situation. And I was so happy. I was actually, because I've always been an athlete. I was so happy to see him getting in shape. You know, and he's bringing all his food and sticking it in the fridge, and we laid it out and we talked about the health aspects of that. So it's really
a lifestyle
cool.
change.
It is.
That's I think for both him and Kevin actually, the biggest thing that they said was like, once you get into it, it becomes just part of your life.
Yeah, that's right.
For me, I'm like, I feel better mentally when I'm working out. I follow 80-20, so it's like I eat clean 80% of the time. I don't, I just had some Mexican cookies from around the corner. So it's like I'll allow myself a treat, but I just know that, when I have to put my head down and work out, I have to do it.
Yeah, the paleo 80-20 is what I tell people. Like if you have the discipline to do what you need, you buckle down Monday through Friday, and on the weekends you can kind of cheat a little bit, and then you round out, go back to your baseline on Monday.
Exactly.
It really works.
And we're both mothers. It's like we want to be around for as long as we can with our kids. And then
me being a little bit of an older mom, it's kind of nice to try to keep up with someone 10 years younger. You just keep trying to chase it. But as a mom, that's really important. Yeah, because you have a little boy.
I have a little boy who is about to turn 2 next week.
Oh, the best. It's the best. But it's not the terrible 2s, it's the 3s.
Well, this is what everyone is saying.
True.
I mean, he's definitely pushing limits and boundaries. But I was just having this conversation with my publicist. No, not my publicist, with my publicist friend in South Africa, where he's trying to not eat, and I'm like, well, then you go to bed without any dinner, because that's how I was raised. Like, this isn't a restaurant. You don't get to choose. And then he'll eat it the next day because he's like, well, this is what's on the table. So I just didn't want to be one of those mothers that was cooking separate meals for my child. I don't have the time, to be honest with you.
No, I mean, we do the same thing in my house. It's like, this is on the table, and if you don't want it, then I'm not a chef. The kitchen's closed.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Get all that.
Yes.
Parenthood is wonderful but challenging.
Yes.
So I wanted to also ask you, though, circling back, we saw you were in GQ South Africa. Mm-hmm. So is that something that you've done before?
No,
Okay.
no, and hopefully we'll do a cover next year. But the editor was so gracious, and I think with the show moving to Netflix, South Africa in the last year is discovering that I'm South African because I started my acting career in New Zealand. So,
right.
And most of my work is not in my native accent, which is somewhat hybrid anyway. It's like a Kiwi / South African.
When I met you, I knew it was hybrid.
Yes.
I've spent a lot of time. One of my best friends is Kiwi.
Yes.
And so I've spent a lot of time in Europe. So I said, there's something interesting. There's something
it's not
interesting
100% one way or the other, but that's the beauty of going to a streaming service like Netflix, is because you are now introduced to just, over 100 and I don't know, it's 50 countries.
Right.
And people have that streaming service in their homes. So, and then it helped too that I spoke Afrikaans, which is one of our 11 official languages in the show.
That's
as
right.
demon tongue, it was my demon tongue, and they kind of lost their minds because they're like, "What? She's from Cape Town. This is amazing." So the media kind of, rolled with it, and I got to. Kevin Alejandro's wife shot the photos, so
that's amazing.
For GQ, very talented.
We'll have to at some point, whether it's now or later, we'll have to get you to actually do that for the fans and the listeners.
Oh, the demon.
The demon voice. Can you do a little bit of it?
Hallo, mijn naam is Lesley-Ann Brandt en ik van Zuid-Afrika.
That's awesome. So was that something that you came up with the producers and with the show, or was it?
No, it was my idea. So
written.
on the day, so I got the script, and Joe, I love you, but it's like, hey, so I wrote some stuff, just make up a language. I'm like, what? No, this is going to feel false. What are you talking about? Now, Afrikaans is not a sexy language. Mm-hmm. It is very guttural. It's sort of this combination of Dutch and German, but I don't know, it's if you talk about languages, it comes from your groin,
right.
And
the difference between German and French.
Yeah, it's just very in your face, and so I was like, maybe I can just alter my voice and try to change it, and I said to John, I'm just gonna make this up, and and I'll translate it, and it went viral, because South Africans were like, oh yeah, well at least I know I can communicate in hell when I get there. It's it was fun, and I was grateful that they sort of allowed me to bring a little bit of my culture seeded in there.
And the fans, I think they love that. Listeners, that they love that because they get to sort of go on that journey with you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like an escape for them.
Exactly. And it's not, Charlize has used it a little bit. I think Keanu kind of spoke Afrikaans in the movie. It's a language you rarely hear. And I would love to bring some of our other languages like Xhosa or Zulu or, our African dialects. But that one was the one that I knew growing up. Yeah.
You had quite a shift in your career, because it seems like you didn't, for people that know a lot about you or don't know a lot about you, you were not always an actor.
No.
So you had, in your late teens, you said you'd moved from South Africa to New Zealand. Mm-hmm. And so I've always wondered what brought you to that journey of acting, because you had some other jobs before you started.
Yeah, I was an IT recruitment consultant. I worked in sales and marketing.
Yeah. I'm sure that helps you now.
It does, because to be honest with you, well, I'll backtrack a bit. So when I left South Africa, age 17, my father had this amazing job opportunity, and I finished my final high school exams, and then 2 weeks later, I was basically saying goodbye to my entire world, and it was rough. For 2 years, it was very hard. It's a rough age to immigrate. But I had this feeling. I never went to college. I was never one of those kids that knew, hey, I'm going to go and study. And also, if I'm honest with you, it's expensive in South Africa. It's a lot. And my parents were, they're middle class, but it's not, college is not an opportunity for everyone, as it is for some kids here, you know. So, but I always knew, like, I don't know what it is that I want to do. So I tried all of these jobs. My father used to say, you could sell cow to a milk. You just have this energy about you.
Ice to an Eskimo.
Yeah, where like
I got that one.
People were like, hey, you're cool. Like, do you want to work here? Do you want to try this? I mean, I started in IT recruitment because I was interviewing for a job, and they're like, we like you. Do you want to work for us? So I just knew that I wasn't supposed to sit in an office with 4 walls, but I never knew what it was. And when I think about my life early on, I was like, I was doing, you know, plays from when I was younger. I sang in the choir. I sang at my first Holy Communion. You know, I was always somewhat performing in my life, but I never knew that it was an option to have a career, because where I'm from, you just don't grow up thinking you're going to work in Hollywood and this is going to be your life or your career. So I was pulled aside I was modeling a little bit in Auckland in New Zealand where we were living, and I was pulled aside by a casting director one day, and she said, you know, you really just need to get your shit together, because you can take this serious. You should take this seriously. You can actually do this for a living. And then I tried to find classes, and I auditioned for a half-hour comedy, and I booked the female lead.
Wow.
And they were 3 weeks out from principal production, and I remember like going into my boss's office and quitting like my IT recruitment job, and I was like, so I'm gonna go be an actor. And he's like, that's great, darling. When are you gonna be on Dancing with the Stars? Like, he was so excited.
He's like fanning out already.
Yes. And then my next job was Spartacus, and then I worked on there for 2 years.
Wow.
and then I just said, you know what, there aren't too many people on television in Australia and New Zealand who look like me, and I'm just going to go straight for the 1,000-piece puzzle. And so I ended up leaving that show and making the move to Los Angeles, and then it's sort of just kind of taken over.
So you've just like, I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm laughing because we sound like the same person, minus the modeling part.
Yeah.
Wow. But I understand that though. It's not something because I was raised in England and we came back here and we bouncing back and forth. It was not something that you thought you could do. So I love that you sort of carved out this niche for yourself.
Yeah. And I think too, it was, you know, I remember telling people like, I think I can do this. And I think that, you know, I'm going to go to Hollywood, and there being sort of a sneer and I'm like, watch me, you know, like that is the motivation really I needed, was because I'm that personality. I'm Sagittarius. You tell me no, I'll like dig my heels in and keep going.
Yes, my husband's a Sagittarius.
Oh, yeah.
I do definitely, all kidding aside, want to get to Lucifer because it's such a huge show, and it's so different, I think, than anything that's really on air.
Yeah.
I know that I didn't know for a long time, but my assistant loves the show, and I think she's watched, I don't know, every episode. But yeah, it's really been a wild journey for you. So I actually don't know how you came about with Lucifer. I know I asked Tom the same thing.
Well, I auditioned like Tom and, you know, most of our cast. I think there were a couple of direct offers, but I was in pilot season. I was on the hamster wheel like every actor, you know, just trying to get there, trying to book that job.
Right.
And I think I had 3 tests that week, and I was progressing to the next stage. And Lucifer was the first test that I had, and they ended up in order for me to test for the other show, Lucifer had to make their decision. So they ended up releasing me. They hired someone else for the role, and I went on to test for these 2 other shows. I didn't get any jobs that week, and I was just like, oh my God, my life has ended. What am I doing here? You know, as you do, because we're very dramatic as actors.
Right.
And then, like, I don't know, 2 weeks later, the actress, I guess they had a table read. It didn't work out, and they reinstated my deal. And it's like, life change.
You just never know when that's going to happen.
You never know. And funny enough, when I got to Los Angeles, 2 weeks after I arrived, I booked a recurring role on CSI New York, and I booked a role on Chuck. And that is where I met, on CSI New York, I met my Christiane Reed and Jonathan Lippman, who are my Bruckheimer producers. And they are my producers now in Lucifer. So when I walked into the room, they remembered me from like years ago when I did 2 episodes of their show.
Yeah.
And the world, this industry is just so small.
Well, it's all synchronicity
Yes.
too. You know, there's so much synchronicity. I mean, because you play we talked a little earlier, a demon on the show. Mazikeen, tell me, always screw up these names. And your character has gone through a bunch of transformations through, you know, since pilot season 4 years ago. So how do you work through those changes and keep your character of Maze true?
Well, people always ask me, what is it like to play a demon? And I'm like, well, I'm not playing a demon. I'm really playing a woman who happens to be a demon, and it's all filtered through my life. So, for example, season 1, her journey, her objective that season, her super objective was to get back home, get back to hell per se. And I'm feeling uncomfortable in the world that she was in now because, you know, Lucifer's made this detective and things are changing. That was very much how I felt when I moved from South Africa to New Zealand. It was like a fish out of water, 2 different cultures. People couldn't understand my language or how I dress. Like, that's Maze. Season 2 was about, you know, okay, now I'm stuck on Earth, but how do I make that home? And I went through that too. Like, okay, I'm here, so now it's about forging friendships and, you know, figuring out who your tribe is and stumbling and falling. And we've all done that in life, right? There are people who we're no longer friends with now, but who were there for a reason, and now you've met your new group of people. And season 3 for me was the big transition of like these emotional relationships. And season 3 was when I had my son, and I came back to work 6 weeks after I had him. And so I was so raw and like available emotionally. That work didn't even really feel like work. There's one particular scene with Tom where I was just so raw and open, and I think we did it in like, I don't know, like 5 takes, like between the two of us, and we just got it because we were both just on it like that. And then season 4 is love, you know. It's like, so I guess I play her with a lot of humanity and humility, and I think there's a lot we can learn from a character like her, because she isn't perfect, she doesn't always get it right, but she's able to recognize when she's made mistakes as she's evolving as a celestial being on Earth. Right. And I think that's what we do as human beings. We get older, we get wiser, hopefully. We evolve, we learn. Yeah. And so there's a calming. I always say older, there is a calming that takes place where it's just, you know, there's nothing else to prove anymore. You're just kind of living and vibrating, and that's all good. I love that you can bring that part of your character into your real life and vice versa, because I think that's what makes the character very real for people too, is that you can identify with what your character's going through and shuffle. Another aspect of the show, though, I do want to talk about, because, you know, working with you a little bit and then working with Tom is the singing. Mm-hmm. And so we met the first time you had to sing on the show. Mm-hmm, you were doing a little cool Wonderwall piece. Yeah. We loved it. Oasis. Yay. You sang season 2, right? Episode 4 with Lauren, Rachel, and Amy. Yeah. But you did Pat Benatar's Heartbreaker. Yeah. But it was singing, but it wasn't really. It was,
you were like in a karaoke,
drunken, like kind of like vibe, screaming into a microphone, and that really wasn't it, because I had asked the producers for a while, like, you know, it would be great to have her do it, but find the right time. You know, I don't care if it's this season, next season, 2 years from now, but just like find the right moment, find the right time. And they tossed around the idea of like Tom and I singing together, or would it be this loungy Lucifer on the piano, Maze on the, you know, kind of vibe. And it wasn't right, but I think they chose the perfect reason and perfect time to do it with her, because I just did another podcast with a friend of mine, Dana, who's a comedian, and she's lesbian. She said, I don't know, you can't tell me that there are any lesbians who haven't gotten on the karaoke mic and serenaded like for the girl of their dreams. Right. You know, and I was like, yeah, I mean, it's the grand gesture, you know, like vulnerability, all of that, like, and so unexpected for the character too. Right. To have such a kind of sweet, I think the softer tone.
Yeah, but I think the feedback, because when we worked and did Wonderwall, I was I said, this girl can sing. Like, she's got chops. I mean, this is what you should, and I think we even talked about that. I said, you need to be doing this more. Because I think the doors then, when you're training for something like being an actor, when you're in it, or an athlete, whatever you're doing, the opportunities just the doors fly open if you're engaged in it. Yeah. Because you have a certain tone to your voice. And I think you must have gotten a lot of positive response from that episode.
We did. And it was really, it made me really happy. I mean, it's the scariest thing. And I'm not scared of many things, but it was the scariest thing to be vulnerable in a way that Lesley-Ann and the character hadn't been simultaneously. I always say it's like hoping that people think your baby's cute. Like,
that's exactly right.
It's like, here, and also it's such an iconic song. So it's like people are either purists or they like the Ryan Adams version, or, and ours was somewhat of a mashup between the two, but with my, voice and tone. So no, it was, I was very grateful. And I was also, my instincts, which I really thank you for, backing me up when we eventually did get in the studio, was my instincts were to like not have many people there. Because I felt like, and I don't know why I was thinking this, but like the uterus is an emotional muscle. I feel like the voice is too. And it's if you have bad energy in the room, and not saying that would have been bad energy, but if you're nervous or there's, you can close off and that baby can get stuck up there, you can, your voice
I've never heard it depicted that way before, but there are never truer words spoken, because I just said to somebody who was working on another film, and I said, you guys, this is like a womb. The studio, it's where we have a small little box, because sometimes they don't want to be in a huge room. They want to feel protected with four walls around them. They need to feel
comfortable. It's like when you're in labor and you just want small space.
Yeah, and too many people in the room throws you off. Good energy, bad energy. It's not a set. Right?
Yeah, like little wisp. Like, I'm used to people behind monitors, notes are being passed back and forth. Like, I get that. I understand that. But when you're like, wait, I don't usually sing, and you're seeing whispers, and you're like, wait, did they not like that?
It's
like,
terrifying.
is it wrong? Oh, it's so terrifying. It's so, and hearing your voice back too, I had to get used to that.
Yeah.
Because, and I remember that when I first started acting, I hated the way my voice sounded on screen. It was
well, just a little sidebar, anybody that has use voices, whether it's VO, actor, singing, they don't like the sound of their own voices, because sound travels this way. So we hear our voices very differently than others hear our voices. Yeah. And so it's very vulnerable and strange for us to hear our voices back. Exactly. I still don't like it. If the music's not there and it's just me singing and then we're comping, I'm like, can you put something back in there, please? That's like really raw. Yeah. It's really naked, but you did a wonderful job.
Thank
and I was
you.
So proud of you, and I thought, God, she needs to be singing more. Like, let's find more opportunities to do this on the show and your character.
Well, I feel like, and don't quote me on this, but I feel like we may hopefully have some kind of musical episode coming up, because I know there are people who've been really pushing for it, and I don't know what the storyline would be, obviously, but I think that they're trying to, based on the response of people and the internet and just fans of the show. It was like a great moment for them and a highlight.
You and Tom should have like a sing-off,
yes,
some type of, like a duel, but with a music and words.
Yeah, I mean, with dancing, just throw it all in there.
It's done in opera all the time.
Exactly.
Like a little, oh my God, I have a whole idea.
Pitch it,
Here I
Valerie,
go.
pitch it.
So your character Maze had never fallen in love before, right?
Yeah.
So how do you prepare for that type of a scene?
Well, that storyline really, I'd say to Joe, it's obviously what's cool about our show is we're lighthearted and we're funny, and but we also touch on really important social issues. We had one episode with DB's character being pulled over by the police, for no reason, or being treated a certain way. And then with my character, it's a lesbian relationship, and my character in particular is pansexual, which means no matter how someone identifies, if she likes you, she likes you. So I think what we end up doing is approaching a subject like that is just being honest about it. This is love, right? And we don't even make a big deal about it. We don't, every single scene is not going like, hey, she's pansexual. It's just a given. Just like Lucifer, he's bi. And I think the more people you kind of expose those storylines to, or those characters that they love, they go, wait, I really like Maze. Oh, and she's into girls too? Okay, well, maybe it's not so bad,
You're just reaching a broader audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think telling it and touching on those social issues in a way that isn't quote unquote confrontational, or political.
Right. That's the important part.
Yes. And the politics and stuff, it is important, but I do feel a sense of ownership in our industry, and for me particular on the show, to ensure that our audience knows that how the character identifies and what that means, and that it's no different to, I'm a straight woman. I'm very much in love with my husband, but at the same time,
who's lovely, by the way.
Who's lovely. But at the same time, she's able to express her love to this woman in a way that, is like anyone else would. I mean, I know dudes who've serenaded their girls in a bar. So no, Imbar was amazing to kind of take that storyline with. And
do you think even Maze have a future in season 5?
I'd hope so. I love working with Inbar. I feel, I don't know if she's available because girl's probably busy, know, but I would hope so. That being said though, it's not to say that it's okay to leave the story where it is, where someone has to go on and find their journey and discover themselves. And that is very true and human too. We've, people have ended relationships where they love the person, but it just wasn't the right time.
Right.
So that that in itself is very human and relatable. But if not her, I'd love for it to be someone new.
Yeah. It's such a cool, like I said, I keep coming back to this, but the show is so different from other things that we have on the air. Not just the storyline and sort of how the characters have evolved, and we didn't even know that Lucifer was going to be singing, and maybe not you and your character as well. And all of just how broad an audience that you guys can cover. By the way, I wanted to thank you so much for the shout out on Twitter and Instagram from our recording session. That was super cute and cool. We got a lot of response from that too.
Did?
Yeah, tons of response. Yeah, it was like our, I actually didn't realize sort of the span that you guys cover as far as fans that really are diehard.
They're rabid. They're amazing.
Love this show.
Yeah, they're amazing, and they're so loyal. I mean, we had a 4th season because they saved our show and demanded that we got one. But I think what's cool about showing the behind the scenes of like a session like that is showing what you see on screen, because I'm literally practicing to perfect the syncing exactly to because I'm one of those people who, when I watch a live performance and I see someone I'm like, oh, it's lip synced.
Yeah.
I think we talked about that.
We
remember?
did. Yeah. It's a bummer. I mean, it takes the wind out of the performance, and and it's cheating, guys. So that's a whole nother hour of conversation we could have. But just coming up, now the fans are really excited to see season 5 of Lucifer. Do you have any sneak picks or peeks from the writer's room?
I'm actually going to the writer's room after this. So you guys should have booked this later.
Perfect timing, damn it. No, not perfect timing.
Yeah, so I don't know anything. I do know who's directing the first episode, and I feel like everyone's going to be very excited. I don't want to say because I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Yeah, no, but definitely keep it under. That's okay. We'll just have to have you back.
Yes, anytime.
We'll do a part 2.
Yes.
I know,
yes.
I'm constantly saying that. I'm working. I can't tell you right now, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
So what do you hope will happen on season 5?
I first and foremost hope that the fans are going to be satisfied because it is our last season, because they fought so hard to save the show. I think rarely does a show get to end on its own terms, and Netflix has given us hey, this is going to be your last season. So it just makes the writing going into the season, the stakes are going to be higher, the writing's going to be tighter, and will they end up together, Lucifer and Chloe? We don't know. What I would like to see for my character is obviously more demon talk. I really want
more demon talk,
more singing,
right? More singing.
I'd love to see Maze in hell. Like, what does Maze in hell look like? And I think the one relationship we didn't really get to fully kind of explore, because it's a given that these two, Lucifer and Maze, are connected. You know, she followed him through the gates of hell. She's his bartender, right-hand man, best friend, etc. But I don't think that was fully explored in this last season. And I'd like to see what him leaving and going back without her, like what that looks like and what that means to her, and the decision of like, do I go back home? Do I stay with this family of earthlings that I've made this family? It's new, it's different. What does my life without him look like? Or am I the loyal soldier that goes back? So, I don't know. I mean, the world is big now. Now we've opened up hell, so.
I love that. And, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and Maze's story with us today, because the fans have asked, they're like, these are the questions. This is what we want to know. And so we like to really include them in the interview and include them in a way that they feel like they're part of this. And by the way, for people that don't know, Lucifer, I've been on a lot of sets. I've been doing this for 24 years. The nicest set I have ever been on. Because I've been on some not good ones, very tense. I've been on some great ones. But Lucifer, everybody was so sweet and so lovely. So your fans would want to know this from the top to the bottom. I think all of that trickles down. But everybody was so kind and polite. And I'm an energy girl, too. I'm an intuitive. And I walk in and I can feel something's not right. The whole day, all the times that I've been on there with Tom, or we're organizing a song and lip syncing, everybody was just lovely. So you have a really, really nice environment there.
Thank you. That means a lot to us, because that's definitely something that we've worked really hard to cultivate.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of outsiders coming. They're part of the show. They can or they can't talk about it.
Yeah, but we also, like, our guest actors, and our guest actors come on and they're like, wow, this has been a great experience. I'm like, I was a guest actor once. I'll probably be a guest actor on a show again. It's like, you have to create an environment that allows people to put their best foot forward, whether you're an actor or a vocal coach or, a day player in the wardrobe department. Like, I don't know. I feel like this is the saddest part about the show ending. Yeah. Is that family kind of dispersing and then starting their own mini families on other shows or projects.
I never got the sense, and I know this isn't even part of our interview, but I just had to say it because I never got the sense that anybody was above anybody else. No. Everybody really worked as one big cog, one big link, and it was so nice. Where can your audience find you?
I am on Twitter and Instagram. It's my full name, Lesley-Ann Brandt, and it's a fun little space where we talk about, a lot of stuff, important stuff, silly stuff, family stuff.
Awesome.
Fashion stuff.
Well, thank you guys for listening to LipRoll, and thank you, Lesley-Ann Brandt. I love the long name. I always have to say it for joining us today. And you guys can look out Friday on your YouTube channel, right? We have a bonus episode with Lesley-Ann, and don't forget to subscribe, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening.
Thank you.